Hey, Unicorn Nation, what's up? Max Finn here with another episode of the Unicorn Perspective. Today, I sat down with a good friend, Tanner Larson, one of the co founders of Build, Grow, Scale. BGS is like one of the best companies in the entire world when it comes to conversion rate optimization, and basically understanding the data and the levers to pull to increase that conversion rate, and basically all the metrics that are important to your e commerce business, your e commerce store. I know a lot of people that listen to this podcast and watch the show are e-com store owners. So this episode is something you don't want to miss. Basically, Tanner and I, we covered a lot of topics. We covered everything from what are some of the easiest things that you can be testing in your store, how to go about testing if you don't have a lot of traffic, what tools to use from the premium to the free stuff out there. And then we go deeper into like the bigger picture of online businesses, right? What's really important. We talk about customer lifetime value, the customer experience, moving beyond the little levers that you can pull and all the hacks and tricks that everyone's looking for, a little secret sauce, and talk about what's really important. So great episode. You're going to enjoy it. And I will see you in just a minute. All right, Tanner. So, I'm excited because we've gotten to build a cool relationship between Unicorn and BGS over the last year specifically. I know we've known each other for a while. You're coming to the mastermind. You guys are going to share some really cool stuff, which I'm super excited about. So you with Unicorn, we have this kind of delicate balance between, we do a lot of content and info, but we also are a very data driven organization. And I kind of do a lot of the data stuff. So I always love getting to chat with people and with companies that are very data driven and that do things that frankly, people don't get as excited about the stuff that you do that we do. And I was literally just recording a masterclass for there's an online summit, and I was thinking about what am I going to talk about, and it's like people love hearing about all this fun top of funnel polls and quizzes and like exciting stuff. And I was like, but what's moving the needle for us is our reporting dashboards, how we're segmenting data, how we're analyzing data, understanding what levers to pull. And that's what's going to make people money. So what I wanted to start with is kind of talking to you about like, how do you get more people interested and excited about what we do, but specifically what you do, because you guys really take a much deeper dive. You have crazy systems and technology and processes. So I'm curious, like when you're talking to people, because you have a similar business model, you have, you've done a lot of teaching, you have a lot of training, then you also do it. So I'm curious, like what's your approach there? What's your mindset on getting business owners interested in it?
That's always the tough spot, right? Like it's not sexy. Data is not sexy until you realize how sexy the data truly is. Like if people would actually knew what we found and what we had access to, they would they'd shift their mindset completely. So the biggest thing is like, because it's not flashy and data is, first of all, data is sometimes hard to collect, right? Or hard to collect accurately. And then once you've collected it, what do you do with it? So one of the things that has worked really well for us, probably the best so far in terms of getting people excited about data and the possibility of using their data, is literally just pulling out case studies and assigning dollar values to the case studies. Because, hey, variation 1, 3.2% more than variation B. They don't care about that. But when I say, hey, that little variation, that 1.2% increase actually resulted in a $1.2 million win for a client, and the test, and then they go, oh, what was the test? And you go, oh yeah, we changed a browser segment. What's a browser segment? Well, let's start talking. So anytime we can assign like a legitimate dollar value to it, that brings the sex appeal to the surface. Like one of the other crazy statistics that people are blown away by, and it actually gets them to care. In e-commerce, people don't necessarily use their search bars the way that they should. They usually have them hidden behind like a little magnifying glass or something else. But when we tell somebody that, hey, when every person you can get to search on your site is worth 3 to 4 times all your other traffic, they're worth 3 to 4 times more money. Oh, wow, maybe I should have search on my site. Maybe I should use search. So when you can assign it that way, I feel like it's really the only way that people really are going to stop and pay attention, because percentages don't do it. The data itself doesn't do it. They literally want to know the end result. And once they hear the end result, then they become interested in what actually caused that.
Yeah, no, it makes complete sense. I think it's, unfortunately, we live in a world where people care. I wouldn't say solely, but at least getting started online, it's about money, right? It's about how much money can I make, and you hear these success stories, and so it's everything is about money. And the same thing on the paid traffic side. It's people just care about ROAS. How much profit can I generate on the front end, right? Cold traffic. It's all I want is make money. I don't care about relationship building or nurturing or anything, lifetime value.
None of
I care about what I make today. Um, so like story wise, I'm curious if you have any, um, I like to ask people, like I was talking to Kevin Harrington last week,
it.
and we've worked together for years. I know a lot of these stories, but I love asking like, what are some of your best like your best and worst like investing stories for him? Cause he talks about investing all the time.
Of
So I'm
course,
curious
yeah.
for you, like you've probably run thousands, tens of thousands, maybe even more of experiments over the years. What are some like crazy wins that you saw? Like things that it was like, it seemed like the stupidest thing, but just had a
Yep.
massive impact.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, the one I just talked about was a big one for me because, like, so I'm a direct response marketer. That's my
Yep.
background. Like, I come from all like offline direct response, then online direct response, funnels, membership sites, the whole shebang. So, I always considered search a necessary evil. And what we found was that our search traffic, even on sites with 1 to 2 products, if you emphasize search, you make 3 to 4 times more money off a single search visitor, and small incremental increases in your ability to inspire people to search just magnifies the profit out the back end. And it still blows my mind because I'm like, I think it was going to require gene therapy or something like that for me to all of a sudden to like search boxes because I don't. It's just not in my who I am, but it makes crazy stuff. Another one, a change that actually gave us like God, what was it? It was I want to say 21+% lift in our completed checkouts. Was simply changing the verbiage on a shipping banner from free shipping to we pay shipping.
That's smart.
And like, I mean, it shifts the connotation, but like, honestly, we looked at it, we're like, that shit's not going to matter. Nobody's going to care. But we tried all these different, we tried free shipping, no cost shipping, free express. We tried all this stuff. And the one that worked the best, 21% lift in checkout, and add to carts went up. I don't even remember. It was like another 20 some odd percent simply by saying we pay shipping. The reasoning behind that is shipping has a cost. Everybody knows that. Yeah, we're conditioned to like free shipping, but when you actually remind them that there's a cost there and like, hey, I'm taking the cost on for me, it's like I'm doing you a favor, it pulls the law of reciprocity into play. And people are like, well, damn, you're doing that for me. Well, then I should buy from you.
Yeah, that's super smart.
But it's like little tiny things like that. Like the thing is, guys, like 90% of our tests fail. All right, especially now, like on the site, on our partner sites and stuff, they're optimized to the yin yang. They're crazy optimized. So at this point, like 95% of our tests fail. But that 5% that wins, it's massive. And it's just crazy. So and on a less optimized site, when we first start working with it, we probably have a 75 to 80% failure rate, which is good. If people think about that, most people are like, oh my God, you fail that much? Yeah, that's because we're good. Like we're really good at what we do. And we get excited by failure. And we actually know how to run tests. That's the other thing. But another one that's really crazy that nobody would have thought, on a store experience, because we're an e-commerce company, we added icons to the add to cart, proceed to checkout, initiate checkout buttons. So on the add to cart button, we started with an arrow, just a right pointing arrow. It says add to cart, parentheses, the number of items in the cart, and then an arrow on the add to cart button, 12% lift. Added a button in the add to cart or in the proceed to checkout button inside the cart with another arrow, another 10+% lift. Little icons, who would have thought that it makes any difference? And we were just testing, like, I wouldn't say it's random because there's some psychology behind why arrows and shapes work for us. But nobody would have thought that it would work. And that one, and then we did the same thing on the checkout. We added a credit card little emblem inside the button, and that got a lift as well. So crazy stuff works. Now, on the flip side of it, things that we think are going to work for a fact, they never work.
That's the way it goes.
Yeah. Like we changed, what was it? In the Oh, yeah. We changed the phone field. We added a parentheses that said we were testing different postscripts, and we tested. It was required for order confirmation, and we were going to send it via SMS. The error rate, meaning that a number of fake numbers that were input, shot up like 40%. Versus just having the word phone. Okay, but then we changed it to parentheses. We tried like 20 different pieces of text. That failed. We thought it would win for sure because you're telling them why I need it, and everybody wants order confirmation. But not through their phone, apparently. So they gave us more bogus phone numbers. We kept testing it, and what ultimately won was required for shipping notifications. Same thing, same parentheses, says phone, parentheses, required for shipping notifications. All of a sudden that won, the error rate dropped to like 3%.
That's what people care about. They want to make sure they get the track the order and everything.
But who would have thought that order notification versus shipping notification would have made a difference? Or that order notification would have performed less better than just the word phone.
Makes no sense.
So it's just nothing makes sense. And the other thing about that I would say, as you mentioned a minute ago, was like people only care, like they care about like the dollar value, the shiny thing, like how do I sell more, right? And the problem is that that's vendor focused. That's the seller focused on what the seller gets out of the experience. Our job and why our stores win is we flip it. We actually focus on the customer experience. And that's all of our data optimizations are built around, yes, our conversions go up because we're improving the customer experience, not adding more apps, not adding a new upsell, not changing the text, not hiding a hidden charge, not doing forced continuity or any of that crap. We're literally just streamlining the customer journey by making the customer experience better. And then we get those wins, which looks like from the win side that we're serving ourselves, but we're really just making it better for the customer.
Totally. So I've talked to a lot of people and asked, why don't you do more testing? And this is a reoccurring thing. And it's something that's brought up in a lot of masterminds I speak at, and just partners of mine that are big media buyers that are always talking about like VWO and multivariate testing is like, it's a game changer when you're buying media because everyone's so focused on, how do I get my CPM a little lower, my CTR a little higher so I can get my ROAS a little higher. But it's like, you could increase your conversion rate 50% if you're doing nothing right now. And that all of a sudden cuts your, it basically doubles your profitability on the front end.
Correct.
So some of the things that I hear from people, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. One is I don't have the patience or the ability to, I don't have like the traffic capacity, right? So like with us for our political brand, I mean, we get hundreds of thousands of visitors a month. And even with that level of traffic, if you want to run a statistically significant test through like a VWO, for example, I mean, it might say, hey, 4 weeks. Like we'll let you know in a week how much time we think you should run this test for, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of people, if you have a few thousand visitors a month, maybe 10,000 visitors a month,
it's ridiculous. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It might say 6 months. And so I guess that's the first thing we can hit on. We can chat about it is we have to assume that most people who are online business owners aren't in that kind of top percent where they're getting hundreds of thousands or millions of visits a month. So how do they overcome that without just like literally spending, the entire year testing 3 things?
Correct. And 3 of those things are probably going to fail because out of 10,
exactly.
7 are going to fail, right? So so a number of different things. So VWO is great. We prefer convert.com because it works better with the Shopify stores. We can inject the code and stuff a little bit better, but VWO is great on funnels and other stuff. And then, there's Google Optimize. Honestly, for most people, Google Optimize is what they should use because it's the simplest of them out there. It's also free, which is nice.
That's a bonus.
And it plugs into their GA, well. If your store really doesn't get a ton of traffic or, your few thousand here and there kind of visitors, you really can't run traditional split tests. But what you can do is you can do kind of a poor man's version of split testing and run it based on X number of uniques, X number of add to carts, X number of purchases, and go that way. So, maybe it still takes you a week to run the test, but it's a week is better than months, right? And it may not have the same statistical significance of higher traffic, and when you do get more traffic, you may need to test it again. But at your level, you can still find wins. So you could run a test off of 100 sales, and yes, it's not in the VWO sense, it's probably not statistically significant, but we found that in the smaller stores that can't run their own massive tests, they can do it that way. Or if they don't get sales, they can test for a variable up the chain. Same thing you do in ads, right? When you can't get purchases, you optimize for add to carts, or if you can't get that, a specific page view, and then you work your way down as you can, right? You can still do that for split testing, especially for smaller stores. Another thing, so there's some, VWO has it, Convert has it, but there's also, the thing is with traffic, and most A/B platforms are built by developers who are used to working with the biggest and the best. Mm-hmm. They're not built for the average site. So when VWO says, hey, this is going to take you 6 months to test, that's true using the top level, like best type of game and numbers. The reality is though, there's a statistical significance that can be found through a calculator where that you go through a statistical significance calculator that says, okay, you want to run this test, you don't get this much traffic, and they crunch some crazy algebra or whatever, and they say this many visits is the equivalent of this 20,000 visits. So if you get, say it's 450 visits or 450 submissions equals that, and your statistical relevance drops by like 5%. So let's say it was saying 6 months on VWO, but you have the calculator crunch the numbers, and it says, hey, you can get for 5% less accuracy, you only need 2,000 visitors or 4,000 visitors. Well, now you just shortened your test and you lost 5% accuracy. Honestly, that 5% is probably not going to make a difference because chances are they're not running the perfectly standardized test where they probably have more variables in play or whatever. So it's not going to make a difference. And they can still get some good data versus having to wait forever.
Yeah, I think it probably also, like what you're seeing, and I imagine we see a lot too, is like you said, most things you test are going to fail. And then most things that work, it's it's obviously every incremental percent it's meaningful at volume, but it's
Correct.
not a massive win. It's, your checkout to purchase rate increase from 31.5% to 32.1% or something like that. Mm-hmm. So in those environments, when the gain is that small, the volume starts to matter because the variability there is slower. But like we do,
Correct.
if you're testing ads, for example, and you're lower budget, like you're gonna find things when you test enough that just have a huge increase over
Correct.
the mean, right?
What moves the needle, right?
Yeah. So this, like, wow, we tried this crazy thumbnail in this video, and all of a sudden our click-through rate went from 1.5% to 4.5%. At that point, it's like, even if you only spent $100 or $200, something's happening there because all the other ads at $100 to $200 in spend are at that 1.5%. So something's different clearly with this. So I'd imagine that's also a big variable with that.
That's like, a huge point. That's the other side of it. Yep. Is looking at your tests from basically an 80-20 rule, right? Mm-hmm. What actually is going to move the needle? What's a whisper versus a shout? The problem, and the reason most people give up on split testing, like what you're talking about, is they test too many whispers. They don't test something that's going to make a big difference. And the other thing is, a lot of times, even if they have a big win, if they start their optimization at the wrong end of their buyer's journey, they can't see it. So when we optimize a store from the money page, the checkout, forward, from the back to the front, because that way everything coming in gets to benefit from all the optimizations made on the back. And as we work our way forward from checkout to cart to whatever, most people don't do that. They start with the landing page. Okay. Well, if your cart or your checkout is completely jacked up, any increase you see on your landing page most of it will get washed out before it gets to the checkout. You won't actually see that lift unless you're testing button clicks or things like that, which those are typically whispers compared to, a new page layout or condensing your stuff, making more customer focused copy or things like that. So optimize, that's another thing. If you're going to optimize, focus on where the money comes from first and optimize your way out so that as those pages get more optimized, the pages on the front that you start to work on, anytime you get that little tiny lift, you can actually track it and see it happen. You get a 1% lift on your add to cart or your, lander click to pre-sell or whatever you're doing. That actually can be a big number if your checkout in your cart is optimized. Mm-hmm. It can actually, you can see the money difference, but you don't see it if you start on the front. And that's one of the things we're really big on is we try not to test whispers. Even on our really big optimized stores, we're always looking for where's that low-hanging fruit. And if it's not low-hanging fruit, what's not necessarily a Hail Mary type test, but what's a test that if it wins, it'll be significant. Right.
Totally
and then
agree, yeah.
Only after we've done all that stuff, then we'll start testing the whispers like button color or button size or image size or things like that. But it's not all surface level stuff either. Guys, some of the easiest optimizations, especially specifically for like your customers that all they care about is ROAS. And they look at you guys, especially your media buying customers that are having you guys run their traffic. They're like, it's all your fault if my ads don't work. Like, well, hang on. I'm helping you get one click, mm-hmm. the click that lands on the site. There's 6 to 8 clicks that have to happen from the time that visitor lands on your site before they purchase. And that's on the store owner. You have no control over that. But they look at the ad buyer as saying, well, it's all your fault if I can't get a ROAS, when the real story is on the store, in the back end, what's happening in that customer journey. And if they just simplified some of their stuff there, streamline the customer journey, or simply, how about you fix your bounce rate? Compress your images. Do a 10% reduction in bounce rate gives you a 50% reduction in traffic costs.
Yep.
That's all it takes. So you have because you're basically getting twice as many visitors off a 10% reduction. So if you can get 10% reduction, which is easy as compressing an image, compressing your code, whatever, it takes 30 seconds to do, but nobody does. Boom, you cut your traffic costs.
Yeah, it's
and then if they have, it's ridiculous.
It's honestly, man, that's why we've done less and less client work. We've moved more and more to our own internal brands and offers, because it's mm-hmm. you can do the best job in the world. You could literally do everything perfect, and that doesn't happen. Yep. You're never gonna be perfect, but you could do everything perfect, you still could be fired because the client's not making money. And it just like. Yeah. People that run Facebook ads or YouTube ads or whatever, it's like they aren't these like all powerful beings that can grow businesses, right? You look at
it's not magic. It's still business.
It's one tiny piece of this whole pie, and all those pieces need to be optimizing and developing and getting better.
Oh yeah.
And that's why we tell people all the time. It's like we've been on so many ad audits and reviews of some really big brands, some big consumer brands that are making a ton of money. Their ad accounts are awful. Like if you look at some of these bigger brands, the ad accounts, like they're not doing anything fancy. They don't have any crazy strategies. They just have really, really good stores, really good products, really great brands, and really happy customers. And it's amazing. I think a lot of it is backwards on how business owners are approaching growing their companies nowadays. It's coming in wanting to pour fuel onto basically a non-existent fire. It's like Correct. You have this little like, ember, and I just want to flood it with gasoline, and it's not going to turn into a bonfire. You're going to smother it, and there's nothing there. You just got some soggy logs down there, which nobody wants, right?
We always say, we learned this from Keith Cunningham, but we always say that, more businesses die from indigestion than they do from starvation.
Yeah.
Like they're getting traffic. They just can't digest the traffic they're getting. And their answer is more traffic.
Yeah.
We have the water hose. Well, now let's get a fire hose. Well, you didn't solve, that's the symptom. You didn't solve the problem. The problem is your store, your funnel, your lander, whatever, or the fact that your AOV, you're selling supplements and your AOV is $30, but supplement acquisition is going to be $60 to $100. And you don't have an LTV because you're a front end focused business who doesn't care.
Yep.
Like so your LTV is almost equal to your AOV. And people are like, well, like, why does this not work? Well, because you don't have a business. And then they jump down the ad buyer's throat. And we see that all the time too in our client work. We have partner sites that come in or they want to work with us, and invariably they come in, they're usually referred at this point from an ad agency or from a VC or something like that. But when some of them come in, they're usually bad mouthing their traffic agency.
Always.
Regardless of whether they're making money or not. And we look at their site and we're like, dude, you're getting how much ROAS on this? You should be jumping for joy. You better keep these guys because your site sucks. And then we start showing them what we can, we do an audit on their store, and 50 pages of notations later, we're like, this is just the surface level stuff that's wrong. After we fix this, we can actually look at all the bigger problems. And they're like, mind blown. And then in 60 to 90 days, we watch them double or triple in size.
It's amazing.
And the business.
Yeah, and they could do that without even increasing traffic. That's what's cool about what you guys 100%. Do. Is you can actually, it's pretty amazing. I think more people need to understand this. Like, you have the capabilities to double somebody's business without changing anything else that's happening. Like, literally everything else can stay exactly the same. And that's pretty incredible. Like, I think people have this idea that I need to do more. I need to send more. There needs to be more volume to grow. And it's just, there's so many leaks. There's so many holes in a website, in a business, in a funnel.
And then that's we're really just talking about the front end, right? The acquisition to the initial sale. I mean, we can double or triple a business simply by fixing their front end, but a real business realizes that the true profit happens in the back end, the second and third sale and beyond, right? So we always tell people, and we start working with our clients to do this, is like, let's figure out your back end. Let's dial in the rest of your business and then they're like, well, we just need more customers. I'm like, no. How about we just sell to the people you have? And they're like, most people still don't get it because they've never done it. But the simple analogy we say is like, we can 3 to 4x your business if we can just dial in your back end, get your people to buy 2 and 3 and 4 times. And they're like, no, that's not going to happen. Our people won't buy again or whatever. But when we start thinking about it and like, okay, let's just take a theoretical example and say, what happens if every customer you've ever sold to before buys one more time? It's huge. And like, of course, that's a generic example, but when people stop and actually have to think about it, they're like, holy crap. I've already got people accidentally buying more than one. What if I was intentional about that? And it's very easy to 3 to 4x your LTV off, which was normally on a front end focused store or offer, and you see it all the time. Their LTV is maybe 10% higher than their AOV.
Yep.
Because they don't really have a business. But when you start putting in the campaigns and the ongoing follow-up sequences and stuff, it's not uncommon to have a 10x LTV to your AOV.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I've had this talk now multiple times from stages and at masterminds and just networking. Like, it blows my mind how much people complain about how hard it is to acquire customers. Right? It's all you hear from people nowadays. Is it's impossible to make Facebook work and Google work, and yet you defy all the odds, right? So you still can make it work on Facebook and Google, and most people can't make it work anymore. And you do all this stuff. You convince somebody to go, like, just thinking through this, like, somebody wakes up in the morning, they go to the gym, they walk their dog, they get onto their computer, and they're on Facebook networking, talking to friends, looking at dog videos and stuff. I have a lot of dogs here, so it's all dog analogies today. And they're scrolling through and they see a video from a brand they never heard of before recommending a product. And I'll agree because we run ads now on it. So they have this, that's just one thing in front of me. You see an ad for Joe Rogan promoting this product, right? Alpha Brain. And you're like, that looks interesting. The video grabs their attention. They click it. And then there's an advertorial. And then there's a step to a checkout page. And they go through all that. And then they take their wallet out and they take their credit card out and they buy the product. Like, that is incredible that you're able to do that. Yeah. And then you just stop. I did all the hard work. I got somebody to do all of that. And now I want to do that again instead of just getting this person to buy one more bottle or get a subscription. Yeah. And that blows my mind every time when you actually talk through it, it's craziness. Yeah. Like, it makes no sense at all why any business owner doesn't like spend twice as much time on the recurring, getting that person to buy bottle after bottle.
And when you ask them, they don't even have an answer.
No, there's no answer.
No, they're dumbstruck. Well, I don't know, or I don't know email. Or it's just lame excuses, but nobody gives it any attention. And
No.
it's funny though, like I know you guys see it too, but like when some of the bigger, like it's crazy how many of the bigger 8 and even 9-figure companies that we've worked with that still barely monetize their list or monetize their customer. I mean, I'll throw one of them under the bus because we don't have anything that I can't talk about. We used to work with Vitamix.
Yep.
And Vitamix had a 200 and no. What was it? I lied. They had, it was 270,000. That was one. So at their most premium level, there was basically a 270,000 person list of people who bought more than one of the Vitamix products, on their own. They had never sent an email. They had 5 million warranty registrations and all this different stuff. They had never once, actually I lied that. One time they sent an email to their warranty registration list, not their regular customer list, their warranty registration list, and it got a spam complaint, too high. They never sent another email to their customer list. They said, nope, we don't send emails to our customers.
That's mind-boggling.
And so we got to work with them, and we're like, what about all this data? Look at these customers. These guys, you have 273,000 of them that, without your help, have bought more of your products. You have 5 million warranties. You have how many millions of customers? What if we just got 1% of them to buy like these other people did? Oh no, we can't do that. They're not the only ones.
No, of course not. And all they have to do, this is what's amazing, is so their response, and that's not unusual, I think, for these bigger kind of legacy brands that have been around for a long time. Their response to getting spam complaints wasn't to say, you know what, that's a sign that we probably need to start providing more value and communicating more, because at some point we're probably going to want to email again. And if we don't do anything for another 3 years, it's going to happen again. So you have a big brand, you could easily just say, hey, we're going to bring on these really big YouTubers and Instagrammers who create cool like recipes and stuff. Okay. And we're going to send like daily recipes made with Vitamix. Like there's so much easy stuff they could do content wise. They could send out, a recipe a day via email, get a crazy engaged list. Once a month, they send out a crazy special or a new product announcement, right? Like there's so much stuff they could do easily. And so that's what's frustrating with these big brands sometimes.
Well, and they send a direct marketing offer to a warranty registration list of course that's not going to work.
Yeah.
Like that's not why you got that info. That has to be done a different way. That's more for direct mail. Right. But they just don't get it. So we see this all the time. And it's like the number one thing we beat into our members in our business accelerator programs head. We work with our clients on is like, guys, the sale is just the start. Like, that's when all the work happens after that. And the cool thing is your back end can be pretty heavily automated. It doesn't have to be active work. Just 5 or 10 really well thought out campaigns could double your business on autopilot, and every new customer goes through it. It doesn't require rocket science.
It doesn't. It requires just a little bit of attention and thought. At a minimum, right? And I think that's why you're seeing so many of these, like, they seem like overnight successes because they're growing like wildfire, and they're just these companies like Purple and Casper and Bonobos and all this stuff, Warby Parker, that are now competing with these massive legacy brands that have been around forever, because these giant retailers, they just were so big for so long that they just said, well, we don't have to do much. Like if you're Vitamix, like we're Vitamix, like do I really need to do much? Like we already get customers. They come to us. They know we're a great product. Yeah. We're on registries. Like who cares? And then you have these upstarts that come in and say, no, we want a piece of your lunch. It's like there's a brand now that I hear about all the time. They make like high-end fridges and stoves are competing in the appliance space. And it's going to drive me crazy. I'm going to pull up their name while we're talking, because I always like to give people shout outs, but like they've like 2 years ago, never saw anything from them. And now my wife and I are building a home, and now they're everywhere. It's this massive brand now, and it's just, they have incredible branding. The design's incredible. Every little detail's amazingly well done.
They're actually putting effort into it.
Cafe, I think it's the name of the brand. Really, really cool brand. But it's the same thing you look at like brands like MeUndies, Stance. They have these companies that selling underwear and socks. Like, if you told somebody, and if you told me, like a younger version of me, 15 years ago, Christmas morning, you're going to get up, Max, and you're going to unwrap under the tree is a bunch of socks and underwear, and that's your Christmas present. I would have thought like I was the worst kid in the world. I did something really wrong. Now it's like my wife gets me those like Stance stuff like every birthday and Christmas. And it's like what I want because it's awesome.
Yeah,
like, they make cool stuff. The brand's amazing. I love it. And we buy like the LTV for us, like my wife and I, with those brands is astronomical. Like it's absurd.
Agreed.
We buy stuff almost monthly from them. And they send out great stuff every month. Like MeUndies, they have great themes like little things. Like every month they have crazy fun themes. Like
they make it fun.
Yeah, it's a fun brand. They've taken something that's super boring that nobody for centuries ever thought about or cared about. They just grab me Hanes. And they said, we're going to make it fun. We're going to turn it into a brand. We're going to care about our customers loving this brand, having experience. And now you have these massive companies, and then you have Hanes over here, which is just like Fruit of the Loom and Hanes. Who cares about these brands?
Hasn't changed anything in forever.
No, haven't done anything. And again, it doesn't require massive investments. Like these brands, and there's even small brands I know that are growing fast, like Wanderer bracelets. They're a really cool brand. Not a massive company, but if you opt into their email list and stuff, like every piece of communication they have is carefully designed. It's on brand. There's a mission, there's a purpose, there's a why to the product, and that's what they're selling. They're not selling a product. It's a bracelet with water buffalo bone on it, but it's what it means, what it symbolizes, and they built this massive community and culture around these products where they've turned like memorable moments, like my wife and I, like the coordinates of where we got engaged and the date where we got married and things like this. And that's what they're selling is like remembering that. It just happens to be on a bracelet. So it blows my mind that it's like more people aren't seeing this. And everyone, I guess the thing I'll ask you, I know we're running out of time, is like, everyone asks me, and I'm sure they ask you a lot, like what's like the secret sauce, right? Like tell me your exact strategy for Facebook and the exact way to do this to make a lot of money. And I tell people, and I'm getting more cynical, but like, it doesn't exist. There's not a one size fits all. If you do this on Facebook, you will make lots of money. Because like you said with your job, most times you fail. Like you guys are probably the best at what you do. You know exactly what to test. You have all this data, but you're going to fail 70% of the time, even with all that, even doing all that.
What works here doesn't work here.
But so
what works here doesn't work. It's every site's contextual, right? So they're all different. But we don't have we have what we consider our system and process that we go through and our best practices, but even our best practices that win almost all the time don't always win. So it's not, there is no shortcut system. There's no way to take, like even taking your guys' best stuff and our best stuff and giving it to every person in a turnkey system would only work for a small percentage of the people because there's so much more. And I mean, I would tell people that my secret sauce is to actually treat business like a real business. And not as a way to make money, because if you're out to make money, you don't make any money.
Yep.
You got to actually have a deeper purpose than that. And if you're out to serve a customer, solve a problem, fill a need, and also become a student of business and learn how to actually run a business the right way, that's the secret. Nothing we do is magic. Nothing you do is magic. Nope. It's literally business fundamentals. Yeah, there's some tech shit that's crazy and staying on top of things and like knowing how to zig when you should zag and kind of things like that. But what it really comes down to is having good business mechanics. And if you have a good business mechanics, your company is well founded and it's set up correctly, then any crazy person could run traffic to that store and make it work. If you did all the right stuff. The problem is people don't want to build a business. They want to make money online. They think the internet is magical. And it's not. It's just another medium for business. If you half-assed your storefront business the same way you half-assed your online business, you would have been out of business a long time ago because you couldn't have afforded all the costs and fixed costs that an offline business has.
Yep.
But people, for some reason, they think still to this day that the internet is something magical. And they buy into all the hype from all the wannabe gurus out there selling these stupid courses that are like, oh yeah, you don't have to have any skill. You don't even have to think about your product. Just upload a bunch of shit and sell it. That's not how the world works. That's not how business works.
It doesn't work that way. And again, you said like the secret sauce thing. What I was getting at there is just the one thing that people do see is these brand, like literally every few months we keep hearing about these, this Daily Harvest, another big brand. You have Peloton, you have all these brands, like, and you can see they're all doing the exact same thing. Like they're all taking products that are not super sexy or are in markets that are already dominated by massive players. And they're just building a real mission, a real brand, and attention to detail, delivering a incredible customer experience. Like that's a secret sauce, right? And everyone can see that. We all see, look at all these companies we keep talking about. They're all have a lot of things in common. And those are the things they have in common. You're not buying
But none of the things we're talking about have anything to do with an ad strategy or anything else. They have to do with the business fundamentals and having a customer centric focus, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like imagine if
that's it.
Yeah. Like you order your Peloton bike and it got delivered to you in just like a saran wrap. Like some dude just showed up from China 3 weeks later. Here's your bike in pieces. Like, do you think Peloton would be where they at? Like, but that's what most people are selling the products. Yeah, most people are just it's sent from AliExpress in China. People get it 3 to 5 weeks after they order. It comes in a like crappy little envelope with no branding, no marketing, no nothing. It's just like, okay, I got this random product.
Some Chinese gibberish writing on some paper, crumpled paper stuffed inside.
Yeah.
No wonder your people don't want to buy from you again. Or you're selling shit that you've never even seen yourself. That's what blows my mind. How can you sell a product that you don't know anything about, you've never actually touched or verified that it's good quality? I mean, I guess the final statement that I would say, I tell this to everybody, I always yell at it from stage at people, is if you won't buy from your site or your store, no one else will either.
Yep.
And you think about it, like if you look at it from that perspective, you look at a lot of our customers then look at their store and they're like, well, yeah, I wouldn't buy from this, but I'm trying to sell stuff. Hello, if you won't do it, no one else will. And if your store is something that it's a closet brand, like you wouldn't even show it to your mom or your friends, maybe think about what the problem is. Because if you're embarrassed by it because it's got to be shady or sketchy or whatever, or you're not really putting your best foot forward, don't be surprised when it implodes.
Yeah, that's absolutely incredible advice. So I know we got a hard stop. So I think that's probably one of the best places to end, because that's amazing advice. Probably the best advice anybody can take out of this. Obviously wanted to give you a chance. We always do at the end of these discussions. Anybody wants to learn more about you, about BGS, about working with you, if there's, a freebie they can download, anything like that, whatever you want to share, promote, now is the promotion zone.
Awesome. So yeah, I mean, the easiest place to find everything in one place is just go to buildgrowscale.com. You can find, our blog, our YouTube channel. And actually, guys, if you really want to see if I'm full of shit or not and see if we're any good, go watch our YouTube channel. We're putting out, 3 to 5 videos a week on there. I'm literally teaching you our secret sauce in YouTube. So if you want to see if we're full of shit or not, go check that out. You may change your tune, you might not, but either way, you'll have your answers. So that's the best thing you can do.
I love it. Yeah. So and that's what we're finding too, is like, honestly, because info, just like you guys, isn't our core business. We make money other places. We're getting to the point now where we're kind of we put it on pause for the next quarter while we focus on our politics brand. But like next quarter, we're thinking almost like we're going to stop selling. We're going to give it all away for free. And just that, I think it's the only way that it shifts the industry. I think the only way to get rid of the kind of the BS people that are selling stuff for like $2,000 is for people that like legitimately do this for a living, that don't need to make money. You're just starting to give away it all for free. So that's awesome. Definitely go check out their YouTube channel. You'll learn a ton. And man, it was great chatting with you. I'm super excited to see you next week and hang out.
Yeah,
and
I
share
get to
some
see
stuff.
you guys on Wednesday night I get in. So or Wednesday morning, because we have a dinner Wednesday night, right?
Yep. I believe so. I'm just showing up. Jeremy and Ronnie and everybody have been planning it.
Yeah, same here. Ronnie and my assistant scheduled everything, and I'm just getting on a plane. That's all I know.
But we're super excited about that. Awesome, man. Well, I will see you next week, and I'll see everyone on the next week's episode of Your Perspective.